Right, this is called Working is Pointless and Everybody Knows It. And I have morning voice, but I really don't care, so let's get right into this.
I'm going to talk about how working has become pointless. Some people are saying that it's just Gen Z that have noticed recently, but I think that people have known that most work in the modern managerial society is pointless. They've known that for a while. I mean, just look at Fight Club, and that was all the way back in the 1990s, where you're looking at the disillusionment of a man whose only role in society is to keep insurance companies making money, which...
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think if you go look at that one graph that I'm not going to show here because I'm lazy, but it's a pretty infamous graph that basically shows, the statistics of like everything, and it's like all going down, as in negatively, since the 70s. And it's pretty funny how this perspective that working is pointless and bad, like this idea of becoming popular in society is like directly linked with this graph. I can't think of any 1950s era movies that have characters that feel like their jobs are like pointless, but yeah, definitely in like the 80s and 90s, and of course nowadays this is pretty mainstream, but there was a huge spike in these just meaningless corporate jobs, or at least people not caring about them. So yeah, let's see what else they say about this.
He knows is woeful and boring and miserable and soul destroying. So you can go back to the 90s and find this. They've also got that that film, what is it, Office Space, which is basically about the same thing. People sitting around in offices for the sake of sitting around in offices so that they can fill out emails and spreadsheets.
It's increased.
Yeah, so definitely, especially since we've moved to a service-based economy, this is like the default job I think most people have. Even if you're working, I've noticed that even if you're working in totally different fields, you're like effectively working the same job. I noticed this after graduating college. Like, me and my friends were all like kind of in different fields, and yet they're all service-based jobs, so we're all effectively doing the same things, which is like answering emails all day. So yeah, I think that's just a feature of a service-based economy, honestly.
Increasingly becoming a form of adult daycare, really.
Totally based. Honestly, I think most work is, at this point, adult daycares. Like, let's be real, I think working in its modern form literally just exists so that people have some spending money, so we're not a totally anarchical society. I'll just say a society of anarchy. That sounds better. But like, literally most people's jobs are pointless, and I learned this like really early on. Most companies complain about how they can't find anyone, but actually I think most of them have too many people. And most jobs could probably be taken away, so yeah, that sucks, but it's kind of like the brutally honest truth.
We've made comments on this a number of times in America, where it's particularly women's tech jobs in places like San Francisco and Chicago, where they don't appear to do any work other than answering emails and filling in a spreadsheet, which is actually just about how many meetings they're going to do the next day.
Yeah, those videos are hilarious. Honestly though, that applies to men just as much as women. Like, those videos get popular because people are like, look at the women, look at the women. But like, that applies as much to men as women in my experience. Now I will say this, I have noticed that men seem to stand up or step up to the plate a lot more than women when it comes to responsibility. So that's interesting, but I'd say these useless adult daycare, tech jobs, service jobs, yeah, they totally apply to men and women. It's the entire service-based economy, which we'll touch on in a bit.
Which don't achieve anything in the first place, and then they go out for a latte. and that's their day at work.
Yes, the number of
This flipping homemade coffee is way better than any latte those people are spending $8 on, I can tell you that much.
lunches and brunches you go on, and the number of meetings you have is inversely proportional to how productive your business is, believe it or not. I know it's a strange thing to say, but it's almost like the more work you do, the more
He's got to be
productive you are.
sarcastic.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I've always found it funny how companies will put you in these flipping pointless meetings for literally no reason other than to be like, oh, I just wanted to check up on everyone. Like, bro, we've got freaking work to do, and honestly, you're just making the work I do have to do, you're making it so much more annoying for me. Because now I'm gonna fall behind, and you're gonna be like, why didn't you do this? And I'm gonna be like, well, we were in a meeting. So yeah, the meetings for a meeting about a meeting, for a meeting that may happen in the future with another meeting, are just totally a symptom. And I want to touch on this. Like, I think if you've ever worked one of these entry-level service jobs, I say entry-level because I guess I'm kind of entry-level, but like, you'll really quickly realize that you're kind of just there. There's really not much work for you to do unless you're like in a startup or something maybe. But if you're in like a tech job or one of these corporations or, you know, whatever, like, I don't know if it's just me. Maybe this is just me having this poor work ethic that they're gonna go into, but like, I don't know. It seems like there's really not even much work to be done in the first place. And all your coworkers are kind of the same. They're all literally like standing around or talking to each other about football or something dumb like that. And it's like, what are we doing right now? Like, why am I here? Why am I spending 8 hours working a job I hate for flipping no money whatsoever? When you don't even, you know, need me really. And it's like you're really just filling a box. They think, oh, we need to be more productive, so we need more labor. So they go and pull in, you know, some random dude out of the 14 billion job applications they get. And in reality, they don't even need you, so they have all these crazy requirements, and in the end, you're not even going to be using a single one of them. In the end, you're doing the same thing, which is answering emails, maybe making some spreadsheets, maybe, if you're really saucy, you know, you're getting phone calls or you're in meetings or something, but like, yeah, there's really no reason for most of these jobs to exist, basically.
But because there is such a dearth of real meaning in most of the work that people do these days, people are switching off in greater numbers than ever before, and Gen Z are the one that people are really paying attention to, where even Gen Z managers are complaining about the work ethic of Gen Z employees.
That's so funny too. I've actually kind of been in that position. I've never like actually been a manager, but I've been in charge of other Zoomers in the workplace. And I can tell you, like, yeah, it's relatable. Like, yeah, our generation actually doesn't really want to work, but, or at least they suck at working. But at the same time, I can't really blame them. Like, honestly, once I noticed that most of the actual like adults that have been working for 10 plus years around me weren't working either, it really just destroyed any work effort or any work ethic that I had. And I feel like most Zoomers are the same when they come into the workplace. They're like, why am I here? Like, what is the point of all this? If no one else is gonna work, why should I work? Especially if I'm working for nothing. So yeah, that's pretty funny.
But before I get into that, something that is worth your time, is spiritually nourishing and fulfilling, and will put a smile
about to go
on
into a
your
sponsor.
face, unlike your miserable 9-to-5 email office job, is the latest issue
Oh, he did
of
its
Blow.
sponsor.
And look at so I caught attention. I noticed this. This caught my attention. Breaking: Gen Z has cut down on their effort at work because they do not think it is worth it if they cannot afford long-term financial goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate to be this guy, but most work actually isn't worth it. when you figure this out, it can lead you down to two rabbit holes, okay? You can either be the people that just give up on working entirely, which I think they touch on, or you can be the people that realize that, you know, your standard 9 to 5 is not going to afford your long-term financial goals, and therefore realize you got to do something else, which translates to basically something on the side. You got to work harder. And like, that's just objective reality. Like, most of us are not getting by on a single 9 to 5. I don't know a single person in my generation who's making it with one 9 to 5. And by making it, I mean like getting a house or even living on their own, even paying rent. Rent is just as crazy as housing, guys. But yeah.
Per YF. Now, this is a very annoying tweet.
Let's see.
Support a lot of
when compared to America. I know it's still on it, it's not.
So it says, Gen Z are over having their work ethic questioned. Most boomers don't know what it's like to work 40 plus hours a week and still not be able to afford a house. And it's like, yeah, literally boomers will never understand this. At this point, I don't even know why people complain about boomers. We're in like a post-complaining about boomers era at this point, I think. Like, they're not gonna do anything to help you. It's entirely on you. Like, yeah, most boomers don't know what it's like to work 40 plus hours a week and still not be able to afford a house. And they never will. Like, that's our burden to carry, unfortunately. Like, you can complain about it all you want, but it's not gonna do anything. You're gonna have to grind, unfortunately.
As good for Americans.
house prices in America are pretty bad as well, from what I've seen.
Yes, but it's still a lot better than Europe.
It totally varies on location, as everyone knows.
And you know, it's a valuable asset, and that's an important thing. But and even if you get one, it's not the easiest thing to pay for.
That's true.
Oh yeah, dude, I knew one dude who was like, I don't know, 2 years older than me, but he saved a ton of money. I don't know how much money he saved, but he saved tens of thousands, maybe even $100,000 to buy a house. And bro, the second he bought it, he was still paying on top of the mortgage so many freaking things, dude. His whole house was also kind of trash, so he had to fix it up. And of course that's avoidable, but it just shows, like, even when you get in, even when you have a job, even when you're able to save up like thousands of dollars, even when you pass all of that, you're still SOL, you're still stuck dealing with the fact that you can't even afford the house you bought. And there was an interesting statistic. I'm too lazy to pull it up. Someone else can probably find it. That actually showed a lot of people, I think in 2025, had to refinance their homes because they couldn't afford them. And I don't know what percentage of that's like Zoomers or whatever, but I don't know. It totally is telling. Like, people on one job definitely can't afford that.
I would also just say that if work itself, as we'll discuss, in the modern economy is not fulfilling in and of itself, if you don't feel any real major contribution to society, then you're looking at a pure trade-off of my time now for future security. And the money that you are earning from trading your time now is not getting you that future security. It's not getting you the home. It's not getting you a foot on the property ladder. It's not really meaning that you can do anything other than, after paying rent, have a tiny bit of money left over, which doesn't feel enough to put away in savings, doesn't feel enough to invest in anything. So alongside the rampant consumerism that's pushed on people 24/7, advertisements blaring in your face constantly, it encourages high time preference.
Yeah, totally based, totally true. Once again, like, I think everyone in Gen Z subconsciously realizes, like, they're not getting any of that time back, any of that money back. Like, I realized really quickly that I needed to not be prioritizing working a 9 to 5 because, like, the time I'm putting in there is not going to make me better in the future. I have to do tons of other stuff on top of it if I want to even have a semblance of the kind of life even my parents had. And yeah, a lot of people just can't even deal with that. A lot of people honestly just go the opposite. They blackpill. They're like, okay, well, what even is the point? Because it takes, I don't know, dude, it just takes a lot of, what do you even call it? It just takes a certain type of person to even want to grind harder for absolutely nothing, really. But yeah, if you're literally working a job that gives you zero fulfillment financially, and on top of that, it gives you zero fulfillment in general because you're just answering calls or, you know, making spreadsheets for a megacore. Like, yeah, of course people are going to be checking out because it's pointless. Why would I do that when I could spend my life doing stuff that's going to bring me some kind of joy? So I totally understand the people that are rage quitting.
So people go, well, I've not got enough money to save, I've not got enough money to invest, screw it, I'll just get this thing that I want right now.
Well, what it encourages is a burgeoning serf class that can only live paycheck to paycheck and not accumulate assets, and therefore not...
Yeah, that's, by the way, I actually believe that's the intended outcome. I believe that's the point here. You will own nothing and be happy. So, yeah, good job. Worked like a charm, guys.
compete with the pre-existing elite.
Yeah.
Very important issue. I'm sure that lots of people
Oh yeah, this dude says it's kind of an interesting take.
Because this is a very important issue. I'm sure that lots of people from the audience feel the problems related with this issue. But I'm trying to think of it from all sorts of angles. So, right, okay. So it used to be the case that people in the early 30s had higher economic prospects than people right now.
Yes, we've looked a number of times at the actual amount that it would cost of your annual salary to
own work. That said, the answer can be don't work. Because for multiple reasons. Let me just give you, and I'm not saying that you don't explain the phenomenon correctly. I'm not saying that you don't explain it. I'm just trying to think about it, because any kind of no one knows what is going to happen in the future. Future is completely uncertain. But so we are talking about the prospects we think we have based on current trends, which can change down the line.
Yeah, so what this dude just said is totally based, actually. I actually completely agree with him. The answer to this is almost certainly not don't work. It's not to go doom, go get blackpilled, go give up on society. Although it is very tempting to do that, that is not the answer. Because it's always better to have at least some money rather than to have no money at all. No matter how pointless you think the job is in the long run, in the short term, money is still extremely worth it, in my opinion. But allow me to give my perspective a little farther, like to give a solution to this working is pointless and everybody knows it thing. Like, as this guy said, if you don't work, you're going to miss out on all the things money can get you, which is admittedly nowhere near as much as it used to be. I mean, you can look at the inflation and figure that out. But it still gives you more opportunities than not having money. Like, if you're one of these people that's literally living at home with your parents, doing absolutely nothing, like, of course, you're SOL, of course you're not going to be fulfilled. Of course, you're not gonna have any desire to live a better life because you're in this doom cycle. But you know, if you're out actually grinding or making some kind of money, you can, if you play your cards right, use it to escape the matrix, which is the point I want to get at here, and the meaning behind this. Like, the idea is not to rage quit on work. The idea is to escape this matrix that we're in. And the only way you're realistically doing that is, in fact, if you decide you're going to make your own money or do your own side things outside of the 9 to 5. And that's just the truth. And it's brutal, it's hard. It's not even going to be possible for most people, but if you're truly if you truly want to see this world change, if more people did that, that would probably solve a lot of these problems. At the very least, you as an individual, I'd say, if you did that, you would at the very least no longer have to deal with this flipping, like, crud, what's the word? Nihilism. So, yeah, I think the move is not to stop working. The move is to be smarter. Work smarter, not harder, you know? Instead of working this terrible 9 to 5 job, maybe you should pick up contract work. And you know, a lot of people live in these super massive cities. Like, maybe the move is not to live in a flipping massive city. Like, you know, not to go all Ben Shapiro, like, you should move somewhere cheaper. But there are tons of Zoomers that for some reason think they need to live in a flipping downtown condo urban place. And I understand, like, I'm not anti-city. Like, there's really cool stuff in the cities. I understand wanting to be around, like, the vitality or whatever. But, like, bro, if your concern is buying a house or having money, like, then maybe you do need to be a big boy and, you know, find somewhere cheap to live. I mean, I'm living in the hood, y'all. Like, I'm not living in this perfect suburban house, but I'm living somewhere on my own, and like, that's gotta count for something. So I think the move is to just accept that you are not going to have anywhere near as easy of a time as the boomers, as Gen X, as whoever. Even as millennials, you know, these millennials get up here acting like victims, bro. They don't have any flipping idea what it's like to be Gen Z. And that's a topic for a whole nother time. But like, bro, you just need to take some freaking control of your life. You know? Stop spending your money on freaking useless stuff. We all know you have, like, we all know you're spending money on your freaking OnlyFans subscriptions or whatever. Like, save your money to the best of your abilities. Use your time valuably. And I'm not trying to be all, like, red pill. I'm just saying, like, objectively, you should do this so that way you don't get stuck working a job you hate. Or at the very least, you create more money, so that way you can maybe one day afford something. Heck, even you could just get another part-time job. You could work 2 full-time jobs. It sucks, but that is the answer. The answer is not to cope in doom. The answer is to just freaking get as much money as possible. Or, I don't know, that sounds bad. That's not, of course, the answer, but if you want a house, that is the answer. But anyway, that was a retarded yap session. Yeah, so I will link the rest of this video down below because they made a lot of good points, and I didn't realize I was going to be yapping over this for 25 minutes. So yeah, go watch the rest of the video, but that's pretty much my thoughts on this topic. Yeah, peace out until next time.